Oh man, look at the glaze on this. It's so sticky, it's so warm, and absolutely divine. Hey guys, this is Katie with Vintage and Vinyl, back with another great video for you today. And in this video, I'm excited to do another cooking series with Nate from New Zealand. Soul Nate has a fabulous channel, so if you've not checked him out, make sure you are doing so, because you don't want to miss any of the tales from the triptych that he is a part of. Now, you guys voted for this recipe in the comments, and we are cooking it up today. So Nate, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we are doing, and a big welcome to you.
Thank you so much, Katie. I really enjoy cooking with you on your channel, so thank you so much for having me on again. This is another family favorite here. This is a Chinese chicken wing dish. I got this recipe from Andrew Zimmern. He was part of the Food Network. He had his own television series called Bizarre Food. On the Food Network, there was a series called The Best Thing I Ever Made, where their chefs shared their favorite recipes, and this particular recipe was Andrew Zimmern's favorite. He called it Grandma's Chinese chicken wings. He had first tried this dish in Malaysia, and even though it has a lot of very traditional Chinese ingredients, it also has ingredients that are very traditionally Japanese. When the kids ask for this, they ask for sticky chicken wings. So it's a real favorite here, and I hope people out there will try it, and I'm sure you will love it as much as my family does.
Fantastic, Nate. I am so looking forward to cooking this. And of course, as always, I'll have all the ingredients down in the description box so you can cook along with us as you're watching this video. And let's just jump right into it, folks. Okay guys, so let's talk about some of the ingredients you're going to need for this dish. Now Nate is going to talk us through each of the ingredients. I'm going to show you what they are, because some of them are not your average everyday ingredients, at least for most Americans here in the States. They are able to be found through the international aisle of your grocery store or any Chinese grocery store. And these are just absolutely fantastic ingredients. So I was really glad we were able to find them all at the grocery store. Now, the first item up that we need is chicken wings. And Nate, can you tell us a little bit about this?
We need 3 pounds of chicken wings. Now, we want to remove the tips, and Katie and I will actually do that in a little bit. The standard chicken wing is in 3 portions. There's the tip itself, there's the middle section, which has 2 bones running through the middle of it, and then there's another section which looks like a mini drumstick. We'll be using the middle section and the drumstick-looking piece for this particular dish. If at your supermarket or your butcher will sell you just simply the middle section of the chicken with those 2 bones in, that is perfect. That is the most succulent piece of chicken for this particular dish. And we're going to have about 3 pounds of chicken that we'll need.
Fantastic. So this is the chicken, folks. It comes in a pack like this. The butcher had actually gone for the day when I arrived at the grocery store, so we weren't able to get that done. So we just bought it all, and we'll show you how to butcher that up. Now, the next item you're going to need is some ginger, and it's not just any old ginger. Nate, this is pretty specific, isn't it?
Well, it's fresh ginger. If you can get a ginger root and grate it yourself, that's fantastic. If not, this particular product, this pot or this glass tub of minced ginger is fantastic. It stays in the fridge good for a long period of time, and it's really handy. I know some chefs don't like this, but I find it incredibly convenient to have a jar of minced ginger in the fridge, just as I do like to have a jar of minced garlic in the fridge.
Absolutely. These kitchen tools are excellent, and they do really save quite a bit of time. Now, the next couple of items we're going to need is some spice, and we're going to heat up this dish a little bit with crushed red pepper and some sriracha. Now, I don't think we're using actually both of these, are we, Nate?
We're not. Traditionally, the recipe would call for small dried red chilies. And probably the closest to that is the dried chili that Katie has there now. Sriracha is a really good substitute. If you don't want any heat at all, you don't need to put the chili in at all. It doesn't matter. It won't adversely affect the recipe in any way. If you like things really mild and you do try this recipe and find that it's just a little bit hot for you, just dial back the sriracha or the dried chili just a touch until you get it to how you like it.
Fabulous, and I like a little bit of heat, so this is going to be the perfect addition for me. Now, the next item we need is some star anise. Is that right, Nate?
That's right. We need 2 whole star anise, wonderful, fruity and fragrant spice. And we'll discuss that spice a little bit later on when we use it.
Fantastic, and this is pretty easy to get at your grocery store. It may not be with the regular spices in the little jars. Sometimes they do come in jars. Other times you're going to find it in a package like this on a lower shelf. So just know that these ingredients do exist. They are at your store. They just might be in a slightly different location or packaging. And we're also going to need some basic old cinnamon sticks, and these are very easy to find. I've got the McCormick brand. Nate, can you tell us a little bit about these?
Cinnamon sticks are wonderful. Another really fruity and aromatic spice. But cinnamon goes stale very quickly. And if you've had cinnamon in your cupboard, your pantry for some time and it's gone unused, you're probably better to get some fresh cinnamon. Now, ground cinnamon that you would use in baking is not appropriate for this recipe. I've tried it. It just doesn't work. So you really do need to get a cinnamon stick. They usually come in about 3 inches, 3.5 inches, but it's a vital taste profile in this dish.
Awesome, and I did go ahead and pick up a brand new container because mine had been sitting for a while. I don't use cinnamon sticks very often, so I did get a fresh new container all ready to go for this recipe. Now we're also going to need some soy sauce, and Nate, you recommend this brand, don't you?
That's a great brand. I like several brands. Kikkoman is one brand that I really, really like. What's vitally important for this dish and many other dishes is that that soy sauce is naturally or traditionally brewed. Sometimes you can get cheaper soy sauces that are actually chemically brewed, and when you reduce those down, all you taste is the chemicals, and it is really, really unpleasant. So always look out for traditionally brewed or naturally brewed.
Fantastic. So we did get some traditionally brewed soy sauce here, and this is a great brand, and of course you'll find that pretty much all over the country. Now the next item you're going to need is some sake, and this was not as easy to find in my area. It was actually with the wine. So Nate, can you tell us why that was?
Well, we've got proper sake. We've got drinking sake. That's all we could find. Normally in the international aisle, you would find cooking sake. It's a slightly lower grade of sake. It's not so pleasant to actually eat, but it's perfectly fine to cook with. So we've gone up market a bit with this drinking sake, and this is the first of the 2 traditionally Japanese ingredients in this recipe that is considered to be Chinese.
Excellent, and this is a pretty small bottle. They do traditionally come in this size. Now the next item you're going to need is some oyster sauce, and this is something I've had before, but I don't know if our viewers actually know what this is.
Oyster sauce is magnificent, and even though it's called oyster sauce, it is not fishy at all. It is oyster juice that's been reduced and caramelized. It's had salt and sugar and sometimes soy sauce added to it. It's delicious. It's sweet, it's savory, it's salty, it's got a really rich, earthy taste, really adds a fantastic flavor to this particular dish. Lasts a long time in the fridge as well.
Absolutely fantastic, Nate. I am very excited to be adding this to the dish today. And we've got a few more ingredients for you folks. You are going to need some mirin, and this is something I'd heard of, but I didn't know a lot about.
Mirin is another form of Japanese wine, rice wine, whereas sake has a higher alcohol content and lower sugar. Mirin has a higher sugar content and a lower alcohol content. And you'll find in a lot of Japanese restaurant dishes, a lot of Japanese recipes, that they use both sake and mirin together. They're a combination that's widely used in Japanese dishes.
Fantastic. And you can get this mirin at your grocery store very easily in the international foods aisle. Now, the last couple of items we're going to need here are common. This is just some brown sugar, and I've got this in one of my handy little containers that I love, and we've got that all ready to go. And you're also going to need some garnishing items. Nate, what are those?
We are going to use sesame seeds, and we're going to use some spring onions. Again, that's very traditional garnishing for both Chinese and Japanese dishes. The spring onions add a lovely sort of subtle onion, but a great freshness. And the sesame seeds themselves give the dish its own depth of flavor too.
Fabulous. Now, these are white sesame seeds. We want these, not the black ones, right, Nate?
I've always traditionally used the white ones, and some dishes that I cook, I have another chicken dish where I actually toast the white sesame seeds. If you can only find black sesame seeds, give it a go, by all means. If you can't find sesame seeds at all, that's absolutely fine. They're not absolutely needed for the dish. It certainly helps with the presentation, and you do get that sesame taste. If you can't find them, or if you find that you have got all the ingredients together and you're about to cook the meal and you don't have them in your pantry, don't fret, just go ahead and cook it.
Fantastic. Man, oh man, this is shaping up to be a great recipe with fabulous ingredients, and I am going to take you through what you're going to do first. And Nate is going to help us here get that chicken all prepared, so we will be back with you in just a second. All right, guys, so we are getting ready to prep the chicken. Now, as Nate mentioned, we weren't able to get the chicken pre-prepared. So you're going to get something like this in a large package, and it is going to have the drumstick and then the wing part. And we want to clean this up a little bit so we can actually make the chicken wings. Now, Nate is going to tell me what to do here so that we can get this all prepared. You are going to need a cutting board that is clean, a nice sharp knife, and a big bowl. So I've got my axe murderer knife, as Nate likes to say, and I've got the chicken ready to go. So Nate, what is the first step to preparing this chicken wing?
I find it easiest to first basically break the little hinges that hold the chicken wing together. I'm right-handed, so I hold the middle section, that section with the two bones in it, I hold that in my right hand, and with my left hand, I snap quite quickly back the end, the chicken tip, and then I put the chicken middle again in my left hand, and I snap quickly the drumstick part down. Now that won't totally disestablish those pieces. We're just weakening those joints, and we will put a nice clean cut through those 2 points.
Awesome. All right, folks, so let me show you what I'm doing here. I've got the wing back and I've got the drum back, just like Nate said, and we are going to cut right through it. So that is what we're going to do, and I will show you that here in just a second. All right, guys, so we've got our chicken wing here, and what we're going to do is get this ready for cooking. Now, Nate just told me what I need to do. So basically, you are going to hold on to the chicken wing, and you are going to dislocate that joint a little bit. So we're going to hold on to it like this and just pop it down, and you can kind of hear it dislocate a little bit, and then we're going to flip it around and yank up on this part of the chicken wing, and you can kind of hear it there. And then we're going to run our knife through these joints and separate it. Now, we do not want the tip part of these at all. It should be very easy now to dislocate. We are taking that apart. You have this piece here, which can go into a bag for freezing. Now, Nate, what do you do with this part? You mentioned freezing, and I think that's a great idea.
Well, I don't like food waste. and I like to make my own chicken stock. So I collect in my freezer. There's a bag, 2 bags in fact. One of them is filled with those chicken wing tips, and the other one is filled with cooked roasted chicken carcasses. And when I want to make my chicken stock, when those are full, I use those to make my own stock. I brown the wing tips, and I add the chicken carcasses with various vegetables, carrots, onions, garlic, and I make a really nice, tasty chicken stock. As I say, I don't like to waste the food. It's perfectly good for stock, so don't throw it away.
Wonderful. That's a great tip, Nate, and I'm glad that I can save those into a bag off the side. Now we are going to finish our cuts here. So we did dislocate that joint a little bit, and I'm going to run my knife through here. It should be very easy to do, and we'll get that all cut up and ready to go. So the knife just slides through that easily. We've got this part, which we are saving, as well as this part, and we are going to put them into a bowl off to the side. So we've got our drums and our wings, and we will work our way through this big pack of chicken, and we'll be back with you for the next steps. Well, we're back with you, folks, and oh my gosh, this is coming along beautifully. We have our chicken all prepared and in a bowl here. Now we have weighed this out so that we have exactly 3 pounds of chicken. What I did was I got a scale, I weighed the bowl just so that we know the weight of the bowl, and then we added in the chicken. And of course, we've also prepared our spice mixture and our sauce. So all of the wonderful spices and different sauces are now into this mixing bowl, ready to go. And Nate is going to tell us a little bit more about each of the ingredients and how much we actually put in to making this sticky sauce.
Right, so we have 1 tablespoon of the fresh minced ginger. We have a teaspoon of the sriracha. We decided to go with the sriracha rather than the dried chili flakes. We have 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce, 1/3 of a cup of sake, 1/3 of a cup of water, regular cold water. We have 3 tablespoons of oyster sauce. We have 3 tablespoons of mirin, and we have 3 tablespoons of sugar. And along with that, we have put in 1 cinnamon stick and 2 of the whole star anise.
That is wonderful, Nate, and it is easy to remember with that number 3 going on there. Now, we did put in the cinnamon and star anise, and this is something I was kind of fascinated with because I've had that my whole life in different things, but I never really thought about where they came from or anything about them really, other than that they taste delicious. So, Nate, can you tell us a little bit more about the cinnamon and the star anise?
Yep, sure. The cinnamon itself is from the Illicium family. It's grown in Vietnam and southwest China. It's actually referred to as the pericarp of the fruit. And if you, when you get an apple and you turn it upside down, you can see there's that slightly fluffy star shape. Well, that's the pericarp of the apple. Now, 90% of the world's production of star anise actually goes to the pharmaceutical industry. It produces something called cinnamic acid, and that is used in the synthesis of Tamiflu.
Wow, that is fascinating.
Very interesting. And the cinnamon itself is the internal bark of a number of different trees that are all in the genus known as CINNAMOM. And they are part of the order of the Lauriaceae family, and that includes the bay leaf. The bay laurel is another spice that is used from that particular family and order of plants. They are grown in North America, Central America, South America, all across Asia, Oceania, and Australasia. They're a very common plant, and the whole order and family is used in, as I said, many different ways.
Golly, Nate, I did not know any of that, and I am fascinated that they use star anise and Tamiflu And of course, the history on the cinnamon being related to the bay leaf is very interesting. That is some great history there. So it does pay sometimes to research some of the ingredients that you are cooking with, because you never know what you're going to learn. Now, we are going to get this cooked up. And Nate, what is our next step that we need to do to prepare this meal?
Well, the cooking process is in 3 parts, 3 roughly 10-minute parts. The first part is browning the chicken, so we get that lovely brown flavor, the Maillard reaction on the chicken. The second 10 minutes is going to be cooking the chicken in the sauce that we've prepared with the lid on the pot. And the third part is when we take the lid off the pot and we crank up the heat and we reduce the sauce down to its sticky consistency, and it'll coat the chicken wonderfully. So the first thing we'll do is we will brown the chicken off.
That is great. Now, do we need any type of salt or pepper on the chicken or oil in the pan?
No, the sriracha adds the pepper that we would want. The soy adds the salty element. We won't be using any oil either. We will be rendering the fat out of the chicken, which is a lovely, smooth, wonderful tasting fat. So we won't need any additional oil in the process.
Awesome, Nate. All right, guys, we're going to take you over to the stove and get cooking this chicken, and we'll be back with you very soon, so stick around. All right, guys, things are heating up here in the kitchen. We got our big skillet here, and we got a nice tightly fitting lid for this skillet, which is super important. Now, Nate, we want to put all of the chicken wings and drumsticks in here, and make sure they're not too crowded. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. If we can achieve a single layer of chicken, that's the best. We will be turning it as we're browning it, but if it's a single layer, that just makes the job that much easier. So we want a really nice brown on these pieces. We don't want the pan too hot. We do want a bit of a sizzle. Once they're in, we're going to turn the heat down just a little bit so that we can encourage the rendering of the fat out of the chicken, and we're going to turn them over regularly.
Now, these are going in here, and you can hear that sizzling sound on camera. We don't want any oil in this pan at all. They're just going straight in, right? That's
right. That's right. Put them in, move them around a bit. You don't want them to stick, but you want to encourage the rendering of that fat.
All right, guys, so we are going to get all of these packed nice in here, and we will be back with you when the fat is rendered out and we got our chicken cooked up. All right, guys, so about 10 minutes has gone by, and we have all of our chicken here. Now, we've put it into the skillet, and we've just let it get a little bit brown. You don't want it too brown. Is that right, Nate?
Yep, that's right. We just want a bit of color. We want a bit of that Maillard flavor.
Fantastic.
That's a lovely looking piece.
Now, we've added just a little bit of oil because my cooktop did require that, but normally you would just let these render out the fat. They get slippery on the bottom, and you can just continue to turn them around like this with a big wooden spoon, and then flip any pieces that you need to using the spatula. Mine's sticking a little bit, but normally you wouldn't have so much of that issue. Now, Nate, we are going to add in our sauce. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. We're going to put it all in with the star anise and the cinnamon, and we are going to put the lid on. We're going to cook it for 10 minutes. After 5 minutes, we're going to take the lid off, and we're going to turn each piece of chicken and then put the lid back on.
All right, so here goes the sauce. I'm just going to pour this all around. We've got our heat right now on a medium heat. Everything is going in, getting it all out of the bowl. We're going to give this a stir and then put the lid on and get all of that down and cooking. All right, so everything is in the pan now that we put into that bowl, all of our sauce and spice mixture. Got the cinnamon, the star anise, and gave it a quick stir, got everything kind of combined here. And we're going to stick our lid on for about 10 minutes, let this really reduce and get cooking. So it is okay, folks, at this point, if your chicken is not cooked through. That is what this part of the process will continue to do for the chicken, is get it all nice and cooked. And Nate, once we put the lid on, is there anything else to do at the moment?
Well, we want to have a slight bubble to the sauce when we put the lid on. And at the 5-minute mark, we'll open it up, we'll flip the chicken over inside and put the lid back on for the final 5 minutes.
Wonderful. We do have some bubbling going on here in the pan, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that lid on, and we will be back with you soon. Stick around. All right, we are back, folks, and we have let 10 minutes go by. At the 5-minute mark, we did remove our lid and flip the wings over. Got a nice consistency in the bottom of the pan with some liquid still bubbling away, and all of our wings here. Now, Nate, what is our next step?
Well, you have removed the cinnamon stick and the 2-star anise. We don't want them any longer. They've done their job. We're going to crank the heat up, and this is the point where you don't leave the pan. You don't want to walk away here. We want a really high heat underneath it, and we're going to evaporate all of that liquid off. It's going to get stickier and stickier, and we want to constantly turn those chicken wings in that sticky sauce, and it'll get to a point where there's no liquid left. It's just the sticky residue, and then we take it off the heat.
Awesome. So I'm going to crank this up, Nate. Now, we don't want a high heat, or do we?
We want a medium to high heat.
Okay, fantastic. So I've got that on about an 8 right now, folks. And I've got my big wooden spatula or spoon, and we are going to just keep stirring, cranked up the heat, and once these are all sticky, we will be back with you and we'll get to plating and actually trying these, because man, I am getting hungry and I am ready for this amazing dish. So stay tuned. All right, guys, man, this is getting very nice and coated, and you can see all of the chicken wings here are getting coated in this sauce. Now, Nate, this is a very vital time in the cooking process, is that right?
Yep, this is when those sugars are caramelizing, all of the liquids are evaporating off. You can see the steam rising out of the pan. We want to keep it moving. We want to make sure that every single piece of chicken is covered in that glaze, and it's almost there. Once all of that liquid is off the bottom of the pan and it's all gone and stuck to the chicken, we're going to take it off the heat and we're going to start sprinkling it with our sesame seeds.
Alrighty, folks, so make sure you stick around, and the taste test is coming up in just a few seconds. Wonderful. Alright, so our pan is off the heat. I've got just a few sesame seeds. I'm going to sprinkle that around in batches, and then we will turn and then add some more. So we have about 3 tablespoons of sesame seeds in this dish, right, Nate?
We might not use it all. So you really want to use your eye to make sure that it looks pleasing, that there's the occasional sesame seed scattered on top of the chicken. You don't want each piece of chicken coated in a layer of sesame seed.
Fantastic. All right, so we've got that done. I'm going to stir this around, and we can determine whether we want to add a little bit more or not. It is looking pretty good here. And folks, when we get this finished up, we'll get to plating, and we will be right back with you. All right, guys, we've finished off the dish, and it is time to dig in. And I am so hungry, and these smell so divine. A big thank you to Nate for being a part of this segment and helping me learn to cook this dish. And I want to say that I'm also wearing something special in honor of Nate. He sent me this amazing sparkly brooch from Pam Sales, one of the most gorgeous pieces I've seen, and it's the perfect duo to this meal. And we've got all of our hot wings plated up here on this gorgeous plate with our onions and our sesame seeds for garnish. And boy, doesn't this look good, folks. So only if we had smell-o-vision, right? So I'm going to dig in here. Nate, again, thank you for being part of this. This is just so wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Katie. It looks amazing. You did such a great job of following the directions. I'm in awe at what a great cook you are, and I really hope that you enjoy these.
Thank you, Nate. Well, I do love to cook, and I love to eat, so here we go, folks. Let's take a nice bite. Oh man, look at the glaze on this. It's so sticky, it's so warm, and absolutely divine. So here we are. Oh my goodness, guys, another home run. You have to try this. Absolutely amazing, just awesome. So make sure you guys taste it. I'm gonna take another bite here because it's just that good. stellar. So guys, try this at home. Cook this with your family, your friends. It makes a great meal. Perfect Friday night dinner. And I'm going to get all of these polished off here, and we will be back with you for our next cooking segment. And Nate, why don't you tell them about that?
The next one, I haven't decided what we're going to cook. There is another chicken dish, an Asian-inspired chicken dish that I really like. There is also a mushroom-based sauce that I make several different things from. So maybe we will either have another different type of Asian chicken dish or a mushroom sauce that we can turn into a nice vol au vent for entertaining. Maybe the people that are watching can decide.
Wonderful. And we are going to be having a special guest for another cooking segment. We'll have Patrick on to cook your famous mac and cheese, and I am really looking forward to that. So make sure you follow all of us on our different accounts on Instagram and on YouTube. Soul Nate, Trusty Huckster Mercantile, and myself, Vintage and Vinyl. And of course, before my next video, I'll be seeing you over on Instagram at vintage_and_vinyl. And Nate will be seeing you at Soul Nate. I'll link all that down below, so go follow everyone. And as always, folks, I hope that you will stay in, stay safe, and binge YouTube. Bye-bye now.
Bye.